Hello. Well, it's really exciting for me to be able to introduce the topic of insects and other mini beasts to you, to Messy Church. So I hope you have fun with them. These are creatures that have a big effect on all of our lives, for good and for ill, for better, for worse. They're negatives and they're positives for having them. On the one hand, insects excite us because they're so beautiful with their large wings and weird shapes and sizes. And sometimes you will learn with enough exposure because you can hear their wing beats and decide whether you're in the presence of a bee or a wasp or a mosquito. And insects are important because they act as pollinators. And they have developed this relationship with flowers so that the flowers bribe them with that sticky, sweet nectar in order to attract them to them. And while they're there, supping up the nectar, they're also collecting pollen, which they transfer to other flowers. So all the fruits and many of the vegetables that we enjoy are all pollinated by insects. One of the byproducts of collecting nectar is honey. But perhaps a more important one are all the things that we get to eat. They like eating them too, as you can see. This is a hornet, by the way. Insects and many other of these mini beasts around them have life cycles as well that are very different to ours. Baby insects are often a completely different shape to the adult. And we may be familiar with maggots and caterpillars, which look very different when they grow up, and they have to go through this process called metamorphosis. And one of the ironies of life is that we're often dependent on the adult insect to do pollination services, to go from flower to flower, whereas their babies may be the very ones that eat the plants that we're trying to grow. One of the nice things about looking at mini beasts is that you don't need to go far in order to find them. And I've spent many a happy hour poking around church gardens and the environment around churches and in nature reserves, and it doesn't take long before you find a whole host of interesting creatures, including things like these slugs. This one was really racing, and snails and worms, and these woodlice, beautiful, delicate creatures, and lots of spiders and beetles and all sorts of other things. I hope that you'll find these activities fun and enlightening. The natural world is full of mystery and beauty, and these can be found in the most unexpected places, just by where we're standing, in all sorts of places. You may look under a piece of stone or a bit of wood and find a whole world waiting for you to look at and describe. The Bible mentions insects quite a lot, in that they're not the main focus of the story, but there are several passages where the impact of insects and other mini beasts are described in quite some detail. Some of them are pretty negative, but some are positive. One of the perhaps underrated ones is that of John the Baptist. So the Bible mentions that he is the man who prepared the way for Jesus, and he came out of the wilderness and his diet was locusts and honey. Now that is a completely insect-based diet. Locusts are not universally acclaimed in the Bible as a good thing because of their ability to form swarms. That means that they act as a plague. In fact, the 8th plague on the people of Egypt, when Moses was trying to get all the Israelites freed to go to the promised land, the land of milk and honey, were locusts. Locust swarms are hugely destructive. They eat everything, including washing left out on the line, and they put out fires. So they are, in fact, a harbinger of catastrophe because they eat absolutely everything in their way. But through locusts, God is able to demonstrate his generosity. There's a verse in the book of the prophet Joel in the Old Testament where God says that he will restore all the years that the locusts have eaten, which means that even these catastrophes can be redeemed. So I wish you all God's blessing as you explore his world, and in particular, his delight in so many mini beasts.